Good afternoon. My name is David Knox. I have MSA, and I did not see this one coming. I now have second-degree burns on my feet. I always say you don't know what you don't know, and in this case, it snuck up on me pretty quickly. Apparently, MSA has a very bad trick up its sleeve called peripheral neuropathy. And, there's lots of ways to get peripheral neuropathy of your limbs. And, like, such as diabetes, like my wife has, can cause the types of pain sensations. So there's many ways to get this neuropathy as pain or as sensations, numbness, tingling. But in the case of MSA, it actually stops the signals. So people forget that MSA is just not the brain that it has issues with, right? Put them in the caudate in the cerebellum, but also the spinal cord. And the problem is once we have this abnormal accumulation of protein on these various cells for neurons and glial cells for us with MSA, it will actually impede or disrupt the functions, the signals that are being sent from, in this case, the feet to the brain saying, ow, this is hot, right? It can happen to your hands just as much to your feet. So that's why we have issues with our feet as well, right? We have cold hand sign, we have cold feet sign. They turn purple and black and stuff because of the lack of flow, the issues with the autonomic that we have with MSA. And we were outside of a pool, and of course it's been in the 90s, so it's been very hot, and I'm standing on the concrete and everybody else is jumping off the concrete. Like, on a very hot summer day, where you can fry an egg on the concrete very easily. And it never crossed my mind that the ground was hot because I did not feel any sensation of the ground being hot. I still feel textile feedback, marbles, basketballs, golf balls, tennis balls. I can still sense what objects are, textile feedback. I still got that. But for some reason, my feet did not say, hey, it's astonishingly hot under here and your feet are burning. It was only until about 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, I was walking that I noticed I started to have blisters. But I didn't think anything of that because there are times when we travel to Europe or Mexico or Florida or whatever on cruises, and we walk a lot, and I will actually have blisters on the forefront of my feet, just small ones, because I walk a lot. So I thought nothing of that. I said, wow, okay, I must have blisters on both my feet because I've been trying to walk a lot. It never crossed my mind that it was anything other than just that, shoes. And it was only probably maybe 5 more minutes after that I realized, ow, these things are starting to hurt. Like, what did I do? And I take off my feet, and the top halves, the fronts of my feet, not the heels, but the fronts of them, are completely blistered up, and the skin's falling off. And you might be like, well, Dave, why are you walking around without shoes or sandals anyway? I do it all the time. I've always done it. I've taken out the trash in blizzards with no shoes or no clothes on except boxers. It's never been an issue for me, ever. But I got so far walking that I didn't have my socks or shoes or sandals after getting out the pool that everybody else was like, man, I don't know how you're doing that. And it never crossed my mind that something's wrong. Brain, MSA, whatever. It never crossed my mind. And when I got back to the house, we realized it was severe. I mean, the blood coming out of the blisters of my feet, the skin's falling off, and it was fried. I mean, literally, I have burnt myself before, but this color, this skin was so dark that I realized I really, really, really burned him. Now, I don't think it's third-degree burns, but definitely second-degree burns after the blisters, the skin's falling off. So you have to remember that as the alpha-synuclein protein builds up on our glial and neurons, they disrupt the functions, the transmissions of signals. right? Some neuropathy destroys nerves, some doesn't. The MSA disrupts the transmission of your feet saying, hey, it's hotter than hell down here, step off this concrete. And that's what happened to me. I learned it the hard way. Now, I got over it pretty well because I've been burned a few times in my life, so I'm not really worried about that. But it amazes me how with MSA, you never know what the next symptom is going to be. And I probably did have some premonitions that this was going to happen. I mean, some of my toes and fingers from time to time have been numb and tingly, feeling like they're on fire, like there's a lighter underneath them at times. I would say typical neuropathy. I've had major back surgery as a kid, so I've had nerve damage for most of my life at this point. But nothing that ever bothered me that bad. So, I mean, have I had shooting pains before? Yeah. Other sensations? Sure. But I never lacked the sensation of hot or cold, which was really confusing at the time. So, it's interesting how the disease progresses and it affects different parts of the body for different people. I mean, the MSA even causes, with the peripheral neuropathy, autonomic dysfunction, right? Since MSA affects the autonomic nervous system, which controls things like our blood pressure, our heart rate, digestion, this dysfunction supplies autonomic nerves that supply the feet can lead to changes in blood flow and sweating. That's why you see our feet and legs start to turn purple and black, because the blood flow is changing, which also contributes to nerve damage and peripheral neuropathy. So the question really is, did this peripheral neuropathy happen because of the pathways are being destroyed, or has my purple and black feet and legs over the last year or two led to actual damage, right? So is it the transmission from A to B that's the problem, or is it actually my feet are being destroyed by the MSA? That's the question I don't know yet, which I'm going to have to find out. And then also you have the presence, when you have the presence of this alpha-synuclein protein, can also trigger inflammation in response to the nervous system, autoimmune diseases. So, inflammation, this neuroinflammation can further damage nerve cells and exacerbate peripheral neuropathy, making it even worse in hindsight. And lastly, there's mitochondrial dysfunction, which comes with MSA. MSA is associated with impaired function of the mitochondria cells, which the mitochondria are the energy-producing structures of cells, right? So they can lead to decreased energy production in the nerve cells, making them more vulnerable to damage and contributing to peripheral neuropathy. It's not very well understood with the studies, MSA's effect with peripheral neuropathy, but there is a connection. They just don't know what chicken or the egg, right? Is it actually the transmission doing it, or is it the actual destruction from blood flow and autonomic issues? Completely different. Is it central nervous system, or is it autonomic system, right? Has not been many studies done about that. So, I wanted a short video that I found was very painful. Very, very. I can walk now, but let me tell you, the last few days I have not been able to walk very much, and thank goodness I have some pain pills to take care of that, right? Antibiotics and stuff like that. Very painful to not feel. The ground had to have been 110, 150, 15, 120 degrees. I mean, it had to have been extreme. It was 100 degrees outside, right? And no clouds, no rain, no nothing. So MSA definitely threw me a curveball this week, and I want to say thank you to MSA for keeping me on my toes, keeping me alert. And you just have to pay attention now. Now, thankfully, thanks to MSA, I will be prepared for wintertime for frostbite. I will just have to assume that I'm not feeling the cold correctly, right? And I might actually be freezing my fingertips or toes or whatever to death, frostbite. And I should be prepared for that. I should assume I'm colder than what I actually already am. So it is a bit of a blessing to have had this happen being hot. Because once you get frostbite really bad, you actually lose fingers and toes or feet. You lose limbs because of frostbite. I haven't really heard people losing limbs because they're too hot. I mean, dying of being too hot, or neuropathy of some type of being too hot. Sure, but I never heard of somebody getting their limbs chopped off because of too hot. So, I will say, not every day is a good day, but and not every symptom and procedure you go through is helpful. But this pain that I had this week that burnt the crap out of me definitely is going to help me this winter to make sure that I do not repeat the same process and something more catastrophic happens. So I hope you take note from this, especially if you have MSA. And a special shout out to Sarah, Sassy Sarah, on our MSA Crusaders podcast with Daisy and I. She mentioned the peripheral neuropathy, which I had no clue about. I've heard of it because my wife has diabetes, but never thought of it, assumed it has anything to do with me. So shout out to Sarah. She's very not insightful in a bad way. She's very knowledgeable about things. She's been through a lot, so I want to thank her for letting me know what actually happened. And please learn your lesson. If you have MSA, learn from me, learn from Sarah, learn from somebody else's mistakes, because it's not fun having second-degree burns. And if we get an infection, that might actually kill us quicker than the actual neuropathy would. So I hope you appreciate it. If you enjoy this video, like it, share it. Sharing is everything. Sharing is caring. Love you guys, and I'll see you next video. Thank you.